Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Implementation Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'm your host for today. The Real Estate Marketing Implementation Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The Real Estate Marketing Implementation Podcast is a podcast with two purposes. Purpose number one, to educate and inform our audience and listeners. Purpose number two, sharing to highlight you, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. With that, we have a very special guest, and I am excited, y'all. Sharyn has been in the real estate business for 20 years and has worked as a seller finance specialist, rehabber, wholesaler, and now focuses primarily on acquiring rehab projects through her company, Sharyn Buys Houses. In 2024, she began a unique real estate investing and development company focused on green initiatives and rehab projects and new builds. A portion of her expertise is in wholesaling lease options, assigning terms contracts instead of the standard cash deal. Sharyn negotiates lease option agreements with motivated home sellers and then assigns the contract to an end retail buyer. She is also in the midst of building her rental portfolio utilizing seller finance. She is a licensed realtor in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and prides herself in offering multiple solutions to sellers and buying either cash for a quick closing or on terms for the maximum net price or staging and listing the house to offer to regular retail buyers. Sharyn, I'm excited that you're here. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here. I know that we've been trying to put this together for a while, and I'm happy to finally be here with you, Jerome.
I'm excited. I appreciate you. We had like some glitches and stuff, but we're here and we got through it. So I was reading your bio, and there's a lot in your bio. I'm going to share with my audience some of the things that we pulled out. So I got some things that I want to learn from you, and then I also got some things that I find might be helpful for the audience, my typical audience, in addition to some of the people that you serve. So one of the things that you mentioned was that you are helping with a green initiative, and that's a new one. I haven't heard that before. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So I have this company rolling out in 2025, and you know me a little bit, Jerome. Okay. I'm an animal lover. I care a lot about the environment. I care a lot about living in healthy homes. Our homes can be quite toxic, especially when it comes to new building materials. So in being mindful of that, I have created a real estate investing and development company that will focus on green initiatives. So what that means is low VOC materials as far as paint and flooring, using more natural materials, even more natural looking materials like wood, concrete, ceramic. And I also have a bit of a green thumb. And so I love gardening. And at this point in my career, I'm really looking for more life satisfaction. And I pulled away a little bit from the lease options, which I did almost exclusively for a decade. I pulled away from that. I'm rehabbing now. I'm listing houses, and I want to incorporate the things that I personally enjoy into my business. So that is gardening. It is a healthy lifestyle, and so I want to incorporate a garden into each of these houses. So my landscaping budget will go up, but people will be able to move into a house that they know is healthy. It's good for them and their family. And also it promotes a healthy lifestyle. So I don't know exactly how that's going to look yet. I don't know how it will look as far as garden, but it's something that I want to do for myself personally. Like I was like, how can I play in the dirt all day and make money?
Mhm.
So I came up with this, and um, that's what I decided to do with my business in the direction that it's going in. So I just really want to connect with people that are sort of on the same level and realm that I am about caring about the environment. So
Okay. And you are right. I do remember you. I remember a while back you had this love for dogs. I remember, and I would like to hear how you got into like the green thumb and initiative. And you mentioned some things like we are experts. We know our stuff, but most people don't. I think you said like an acronym like VOC or something like that.
yes, yes. So first, I've been in dog rescue for 11 years. It'll be 12
Okay.
years in December, and so I care a lot about animals. And so I just wanted to, like, I can connect with people in that realm because they know who I am, and that's a good source of business for me. but I also want to kind of bring it into the mainstream, like my love for animals and my love for nature. And yeah, so our homes are quite toxic and they off gas, especially when using new materials. And a lot of things that we use, our glues, our even our caulk and paints and flooring are off gassing. And I know it's not that much of a pleasant topic because our homes, it's new building materials are the most impactful when it comes to off-gassing, but I'm trying to alleviate that. And I also think that not only will it keep people healthy, but it will help my home sell even in a different market. Like right now, we're in a market where everything is selling like crazy. But even in a different market, when it slows down, when things are more of an even market and settled more, it will make my homes more desirable. And eventually, I'm kind of just really in the beginning stages of implementing this. And
Right.
so one of my ideas is eventually maybe even get more into like custom builds and custom remodels where people are interested in the kind of homes that I have to offer and possibly like customizing homes to what they like. So I have all this coming out in 2025 and it's just kind of it's just something that just God gave to me and I just thought, this means something. Like there's something here. And so I'm rolling it out and I'm really excited about it. Like I feel inspired. I wasn't feeling very inspired about the lease options. I was just kind of, I did so many of them and for so long, I just I lost my inspiration for it. So I still do them a little bit, but this is really in my heart and it's like I said, I want to bring more of my life's purpose into my work.
I completely understand that. So you're bringing your life purpose and you're like really out to serve people for like long-term benefits, including pets. I know that's like becoming a movement. You said 11 years. I am they call me grumpy sometimes because I'll shun trends, but 11 years, that means you've been caring about dogs before everybody thought it was cool.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So it started with my dog Ryland, who he passed in 2020, and he was I bought him from a pet store before I knew like what was happening to these animals with breeders, and I learned about that, and so I signed up with Brookline Lab Rescue, and it's got to be hundreds of dogs now that I've had a part in rescuing. So my main part in the rescue is to pull from shelters. So I go into shelters, I evaluate dogs that are in there, and just the shelter system is a mess right now. It's just so much overwhelm. So I go in, I evaluate Labrador retrievers or lab mixes, and I bring them into the rescue and into a foster home.
Thank you for sharing that. I know this is a real estate topic, but what are some things that we can do to bring like awareness to these dogs in the shop? Like I've never heard of that. I'm kind of detached from it
Yeah.
because I don't have pets, but I've heard of it. I'm just not hands on and as intimate with the situation as you. And I would like to give you the opportunity to tell people how they can do something about the situation, even if it's just awareness.
Yes. So two things come to mind. One is do everything you can not to surrender a dog. I know that circumstances happen and sometimes people are in life circumstances, but right now we have a huge overpopulation problem. And if you can work it out in some way by using a pet sitter, feeding different food for health issues, like whatever it can be that you can help your animal stay with you, that's the best bet because they're just overflowing. I mean, there are like dogs in crates piled up in shelter lobbies. That's how bad it is. So it's extremely hard for us in rescue. And the other thing is, please do not buy a dog. We have so many dogs in shelters, and I ask of people to please just adopt a pet and don't buy a dog. Breeders just add to the problem continually. They don't help the problem at all. They're just making money off these dogs because they don't have to pay them to have litters. And so if I have one message for the world, it's to please adopt and not buy a dog.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. What are some things like one of the things that I often think about is, I live in Philadelphia and I'm not as intimate with the pets as you, but I think about people. And we got this big building. I think it's the Take the Cake Factory or something. Is that like I forget where it's at, but it's a big building. It's not being utilized. I always dream. I haven't really given it any practical thought or application, but I always dream like, what if we turned that building into like some kind of shelter and we put people in there? What are some thoughts and some ideas that you think about, like as a real estate? Because I'm thinking about it as a real estate person. It's not just for the money, but it's like this real estate that we can take advantage of, and we can utilize this to help people in different ways. So I would like to hear from you. Like, what are some thoughts you might have, or some visions uh, where we could potentially help these pets?
So there seems to be no real solution. I have
Mhm.
brainstormed a lot about what the solution is, and I think really just having personal responsibility for a pet and knowing that a pet is for life is the
Okay.
solution. All right. So people think that, but I think initially when they get a pet, they're not like, this is something I'm going to give away, but just making it so you can persevere through life circumstances. I mean, life goes up
Mhm.
and down. Most people surrender because they're getting divorced, they had a baby, or they're moving. All right. That's the three main reasons. In this economy, I also have a lot more people surrendering now because they're like, I can't afford it. I can't afford dog food. I can't afford vet care. So there are some services. If anybody's interested in this, they can contact me and I can direct them towards services. If they're having trouble affording their pet, there are services. But my life mission is to really like save more animals and get more into this. I am a worker girl, obviously, so that takes up a lot of my time, just like living in the world and making an income. But ultimately, I would like to really expand the services that we can give to people that want pets, especially in the senior communities. Like, I think there's a lot of senior citizens out there that may feel lonely and may need a friend and may need a companion but can't afford one and are concerned about getting the pet to a vet and things like that. If they're not driving, then that's a concern. So I would like to roll out more of this in the future, and I work on it as much as I can right now. But in going forward, especially as I go into retirement, I would really like to work some more on animal rescue and implementing programs that people can use. But I
Thank you
love
for
the
sharing that.
room. I love it
Thank
because
you. I appreciate that. One of the things that was jumping out to me, I can be very practical, and what you're saying I thought about, but I don't know if people think about this. But pets, to me, one of the reasons why I kind of like no, I lean more towards no, is because I don't know if I'm ready to deal with. I'm gonna love that pet, and I know it's like it's a long term thing, and I'm like I don't know. I get a pet and I lose it, but I'm thinking about what you said about the seniors, and sometimes like their life might not last as long as someone like me, where I'm a little bit younger, and that might be a decent like companion for the senior. Like, let's say I'm not an expert like you, but let's just say on average, maybe a dog lives 8 years or something like that. And the senior, they come in at 60 and their life is, who knows? So that's a really great idea.
yeah, it is. I love it. And I love that you have that in your heart too, because I do work with some homeless people that are living on the streets with their pets. And like we're doing like fundraising for them so they can still get their animals food and vet care. And they're totally dedicated. They live on the street. They are without housing themselves and they still keep their pet. So um it can't, they do, they get in your heart. To me, they're family. Nothing would ever make me surrender my dog. I just
Mm.
couldn't. So I would live anywhere with him. There's no way that I would ever give him away. And I just have that. And he's my best friend in my family. So I try to help as much as I can. My goal is to not only start like what I love with this, it's called Green Love Homes is the name of my new company. So this is not just start with the Green Love Homes, but also be able to produce more income so I can give more and help more of these people. And it all takes money, all this vet care, animals, food, everything that everybody needs. It all takes income, and I'm doing it on my income. So my goal is to increase awareness, and increase my contributions in the realm of animal welfare.
Thank you for sharing that. We're going to switch gears a little bit and go into the real estate stuff, but tell people how they can reach out to you or a company or a charity to help these pets.
Okay, so my rescue is Brookline Labrador Retriever Rescue. That is lab or lab mix focus, so only Labrador Retrievers. It's breed specific. But if you need help like caring for your animal and keeping your animal, then you can go ahead and email me at Sharon@SharonBuysHouses.com. You'll probably put my contact information here somewhere, right, Jerome?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's Sharon spelled with a Y, Sharyn. Sharon@SharonBuysHouses.com.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to switch over. Let's go to some real estate stuff. That was an important topic, so I don't mind.
Yeah,
that we
thank you
stayed
for
there.
covering it. I
But
didn't even know that we were going to talk about this, but thank you.
yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So we were talking in the green room, and like we as experts, I always let my experts know, like we're experts, we know stuff, but most people don't. So one of the things when I was reading your bio, we talked about lease options, and I've been in it for a while. I'm new to lease option. I started like maybe 2 years ago, and but I interact with agents every day, like traditional retail type of agents, and oftentimes they don't know what that is. So, what is a lease option, Sharon?
Okay, so a lease option is just like what it sounds like. It's two different transactions, two different contracts. So it's a lease with an option to buy. So you would enter into a lease of varying terms and then have the option to buy that property at the end of that lease. The benefit to the seller is that they can sell their house quickly. I mean, this all happens within a week to 10 days. They can sell their house quickly. They can get a lot higher than your typical wholesaler will offer on it because it's not just a cash sale. And they don't have to pay a real estate commission. So a lot of times they're netting the highest amount because you don't even need equity to do this type of deal. So back when people didn't have equity, 2010 to 2020, I was doing a lot of lease options. People would buy a house, want to move in a year or two. They didn't have any equity. So I would do a lease with an option to buy and then sell it to a tenant optionee. So we would do a lease. They would sign a lease. You would have a tenant I was doing 12-month lease options. And then we would have them settle within the 12 months. So it's kind of, I think of it as a delayed settlement might be helpful. So you're putting everything together in the beginning. Like I screen everybody. I set everyone's expectations up front. And then there's some time in between settlement, which is usually, I mean, I could close people as soon as like 6 to 8 months, depending on their credit. But I did a 12-month lease. And so I was closing them pretty quickly. A lot of times I hear people do like 2, 3, 5 years on a lease option, but my model is and was to do a 12-month lease and close them quickly.
Thank you for sharing that. So you already hinted on and you talked about some of these benefits, but one of the questions we still always get is why would someone do this? And I know it can be 1 million reasons why, but I would like to hear from you. What are some of the more common or some of the reasons that make the most sense on why a person might do a lease option? Like a seller. I'm a seller. Why would I do this? Right. And I'm trying to think for the seller as the agent.
Okay, so the times have changed. Okay, their motivation back when I first started is a lot different than it is now. So in today's marketplace, the people that want to do a lease option are people that have a house to sell that has a whole lot of equity and probably a paid off house. So they have a paid off mortgage. Their house is now, they bought it 30 years ago. Their house is now worth, let's say, $400,000. And they are going to receive a lump sum of $400,000 when they settle. So a lot of people have a problem with where are you going to put the money? Who can you trust? What's a safe investment? Stock market's pretty risky, pretty shaky. Like, where can you invest this money? And so, and also, I'm finding more and more is that people are concerned about their adult children getting their hands on a bulk sum of money, and they don't really want that to happen. So, we can negotiate different types of seller financing where it doesn't have to last 12 months. We could do a 30-year term that will that would be more on the seller financing side. That wouldn't be a lease option. Lease option I do is short term. I can do seller finance with a very long term though, and that way it provides an income, sort of like a pension, where they know that they are getting a set amount of money each month. And it's not like a stock market where they're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. This world is so crazy. Is the war coming? Like, we don't know what's happening. So people are a little bit insecure about investing such a large sum of money, but they can keep their equity in their house and get payments that will um, go beyond their lifetime even. So it will go to their heirs if they pass before the 30 years is up. And that's a common question that I get is what if I outlive this? So it does get passed on to their heirs and they will still be collecting that amount of money. The other group of people that tend to want to do a lease option is investors. So they are landlords. They have depreciated this house over time. When they sell, they have that recapture tax and they want to spread their tax burden over years and not just pay it all in one tax year. Because not only do they have a big tax burden, but it may potentially push them into a higher tax bracket. and have to therefore pay a higher tax amount. So I work with investors, landlords that want to sell their rental properties, and that way they don't have such a big tax burden. They can sell their house for full price and not pay a real estate commission.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. One of the things that you were mentioning, which people like, what is seller finance?
So seller finance is it's setting up a note to sell your piece of real estate over time. So instead of, like I said, it's people that either have a tax situation or a wealth situation, they don't know what to do with the money. I would first I personalize like anything, every person that comes to me, I personalize a solution with them. So I ask a lot of questions. It's just like sort of like when you go to a doctor and you're like, "Hey, I feel sick." They're not like, "Okay, take this." They ask a lot of questions. They do some testing. They find out what your situation is, and then they have a prescription or sometimes multiple different prescriptions and multiple different ways to solve your problem. So that's what I do. When people call me, I ask not only questions about the house, but questions about their personal situation, and then I come up with a prescription that would benefit them. And a lot of times it's seller finance. So because this isn't very well known, you're right. A lot of realtors don't even know what I'm talking about, and that's how I get a lot of my business is through realtors and other investors that don't understand it, and they have a situation where they have somebody that has low or no equity and they want to do a lease option, or they have someone that has a lot of equity that is concerned about that sudden income that they'll have that they have to invest. So seller finance is setting up a note where I would pay them for their equity over time.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. One of the things that come up often, even when like I tell you, I interact with a lot of agents of a role play group. We role play, and like my script is much different than everyone else's. And sometimes they get out of the character and they become themselves. And once they become themselves as the agent or the person, like one of the questions they say, or one of the things they say, or the questions they ask is, um, it's not a question, but they'll say, "This sounds too good to be true." How do you address that?
Well, I think like a lot of times the people that are coming to me are referrals. So they trust the person that is referring them. And I try to put this out on online as much as possible. So people kind of like they can listen to a lot of what I'm saying on YouTube, and it kind of catches on after a while and I know what I'm talking about. I'm also a licensed real estate agent. So I'm licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I had to pass a screening for a background check. So I don't have any criminal background. And as far as trust, like I'm mainly doing business with people like that have been referred to me or know me through the online work that I've done, or just, people that I've been in this a long time. So I have a lot of people that know what I do. So I get referrals from them, and that's how people can know that I'm I'm trustworthy through the referrals and through the content that I put online.
One of the things that jumps out to me that really stands out about what you do is you offer multiple options. You don't just say, "Hey, I'll buy it for cash." You got three options. Could you talk about those three options?
I can. So, all right. So once I get all the information from somebody, then
Mhm.
I come up with the prescription. And the prescription, I make a cash offer to just about everyone. So I'm like, I can buy your house cash for this amount. And based on that, like I have multiple different exit strategies with that too. So I'll either rehab it, sometimes I wholesale it. So a lot of times these houses don't need a lot of work. So I don't need to buy it at 50% of the value like you do on a wholesale deal. So a wholesale deal, you really need to buy low, especially in this marketplace where we don't know what's happening 6 and 12 months out right now. There is a lot of variables. So I have to be very careful when I buy cash with a house that needs a lot of work. So I have to offer a lower amount. But if it house doesn't need a whole lot of work, I can just wholesale it. So I can just do like paint, carpet, clean, clear it out, mow the lawn, paint a fence, things like that to really kind of shine it up, but it's still at an affordable price where it's not totally a brand new rehabbed house and it's priced at the top of market. So I will offer them cash and use those two strategies, or I will offer seller finance, which I just explained and why that would make sense for someone. Or if they can't take either one of them or they're not interested in either one of them, then I will go ahead and list the house. So I rarely work with buyers in the retail realm, like my using my license, like I will sometimes if I know them, and it's only a couple a year though. It's really not that much, but I mainly work with sellers. And so I have a background in staging. I had a home staging company back in 2010. And so I work with them to prepare their house for sale. And also, what's huge now, Jerome, is not selling your house. It's so easy to sell your house, even over asking price. It's so easy to sell your house. But I have fallout protection protocol that I use that I think is very different than a lot of real estate professionals are using. And that is to protect them from their house falling out of contract because I'm seeing lots of fallout. All right. People are like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll over asking $20,000 over asking. Let's do it. And then when it comes time to actually do it, there's a lot of backing up. The house goes back on the market and it costs the seller more time and money and hassle to go ahead and just open that up to showings again and everything that you need to do to sell a house. So I offer the 3 different solutions, either cash, seller, finance, or we can go ahead and list it. And I will use all of the protocol that I've learned over all of my years in the business to protect them and to get them the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time.
Thank you, Sharyn. I know you got to go. I want to be respectful of your time. We're going to call this part 1.
Okay.
And we're going to have you come back in the future so we can dive a little bit deeper on some of those topics. With that, Sharyn, could you tell us how we can reach you and learn more about what it is that you do? Tell us about both the pets as well as your real estate stuff.
Okay, so with the pets, you can reach me through Brookline Labrador Retriever Rescue. I'm the one that goes to the shelters and I bring the dogs into foster homes. And with real estate, you can email me at Sharyn, spelled SHARYN, at SharynBuysHouses.com. Or my YouTube channel is beneficial as well. I have over 100 videos on everything that we just talked about, and I'm thrilled to come back for a part 2 as well. So this went so fast, Jerome. I feel like we have so much more to cover.
It is. It's a lot, I told you, but we're going to reschedule. We're going to do it
Okay.
again. Thank you so much. I know we're like running over. I'm going to get us out of here.
Thank
you,
you.
Sharyn.
All right.
All
I
right.
appreciate you. Talk
All right.
soon.